The sun is slowly rising from the horizon of the vast desert. Golden yellow sand dunes shine with the first light of the morning. Prophet Abraham is walking slowly on the sands all by himself. The lines on his face carry the traces of the deep responsibility and inner burden he carries. The divine command, echoing in his mind, mingles with the howling of the wind. That traumatic dream he saw squeezes his heart like a vice with every step. A father's heart trembles under the weight of absolute surrender. On the horizon, the silhouette of Ishmael begins to appear. Young Ismail moves towards his father with a peaceful smile when he sees him. Ibrahim takes a deep breath while looking at the innocence on his son's face. The duo meets in the middle of the desert, at a point where silence reigns. Ibrahim whispers the divine command to his son with a trembling voice. Words hang in the air, and the silence of the desert deepens further. Ismail is listening calmly while looking into his father's eyes. A resignation devoid of any trace of fear appears on the young man's face. Ismail holds his father's hand and gives him a reassuring look. This unique trust in God is like a sacred melody echoing in the desolation of the desert. Ibrahim nods his head, drawing strength from his child's fortitude. They continue their journey side by side on the sands. The devil approaches from the shadows with a sinister whisper. A dark whisper is trying to cloud Ibrahim's mind. Ibrahim rejects the whisper by striking the ground hard with his staff. Seeing his father's determination, Ismail holds onto him even tighter. The devil's shadow melts and disappears rapidly under the sun. The duo continues to advance with determination toward the center of the examination. As the sun rises, the temperature of the desert increases and the air becomes heavy. Father and son are walking towards the purest form of surrender. The storm inside Ibrahim is giving way to a profound sense of awe. Ismail's steps are in perfect harmony with his father's steps. The vastness of the desert watches their loyalty like a witness. Ibrahim is praying silently while looking at the sky. Ismail gives his father strength with his presence by his side. The bond between the two goes beyond all worldly fears. The camera follows the duo's footprints as it moves across the sand. The wind is gently rippling their clothes. Ibrahim stops and looks at his son with affection one last time. Ismail eases the sadness in his father's eyes with a smile. This moment is a moment when time stands still and only faith speaks. Surrender is woven into their every movement like a work of art. The desert is the only silent witness to this sacred journey. Ibrahim is completely setting aside the hesitations in his heart. Ismail shows his respect for his father's decision with his posture. The golden light of the sun pours over the duo like a halo. Ibrahim renews his devotion to God once again. Ismail, at the peak of submission, accompanies his father with peace. The silence of the desert masks the great storm in their inner world. As we approach the end of the road, everything becomes clearer. Ibrahim takes a deep breath when they reach the place where the sacrifice will be made. Ismail comes to his father and kneels down. The father and son are looking at each other with love for the last time. This look is like a summary of thousands of years of loyalty. The weight of surrender is now giving way to a divine peace. Ibrahim's hands are trembling as they open toward the sky. Ismail submits to his father's command with absolute obedience. The golden light of the desert seals this moment into eternity. As Ibrahim takes his knife into his hand, his heart beats with the remembrance of Allah. Ismail closes his eyes and waits, resigned to his fate. The greatest test in human history begins exactly at this point. Silence spreads to every grain of the desert with absolute respect. Surrender is no longer just an action, it becomes a part of the soul. As the sun rises behind the hills, the father and son continue to move slowly into the depths of the deserted valley. The desert wind is kicking up sand, and in the silence, only footsteps and heavy breathing can be heard. Prophet Abraham pauses, looking at the sky with trembling hands, trying to suppress the storm in his heart. Ishmael comes to his father, his eyes reflecting a deep sense of peace and unwavering trust. Ismail is holding his father's hand. This touch is the final and strongest sign of the unbreakable bond between the two. As the moment of sacrifice approaches, the surrounding mountains seem to fall into silence to witness this sacred moment. Ishmael sees the pain on his father's face and begins to speak in a soft voice. She wants him to blindfold her, encouraging her father so that his hand does not tremble. Prophet Abraham shakes his head with deep sadness in the face of this request from his son. Ismail kneels on the ground, bows his head in submission, and looks up toward the sky. Ibrahim's hands reach out slowly to cover his son's eyes. Eyes are closing. The world is being cleansed of all the noise and chaos outside. Ibrahim raises the knife in his hand, his heart beating by the command of Allah. The knife shines with the light of the sun. The golden color of the desert covers everything. Ibrahim lowers the knife with great determination, but the knife does not cut. Time stands still, the wind ceases, and nature bears witness to this miraculous moment. A bright beam of light from the sky descends, filtering through the clouds. A large, majestic ram appears from amidst the clouds of dust and steps onto the stage. Ibrahim unties the blindfold from his eyes and recoils in astonishment at the sight before him. Ismail looks up and sees the relief and gratitude on his father's face. A divine reward, in the purest moment of surrender, descends silently to the earth. Ibrahim opens his hands to the sky, and the tears streaming from his eyes fall to the ground. This is not just a victim, but a symbol of the acceptance of absolute obedience. Ismail stands up and takes a step towards his father. Father and son are walking towards each other, wrapping their arms around one another. The moment they embrace, the entire universe seems to hold its breath for an instant. Their faces are not clearly visible, but it is evident from every movement they make that the burden on their shoulders has lightened. Peace spreads over the desert like a blanket, and everything becomes calm. The camera slowly rotates around the duo, the golden hour light illuminating them. This embrace shouts that surrender is not actually giving up, but the greatest gain. Ibrahim is stroking his son's hair, looking at the sky with gratitude. Ismail leans against his father's chest, smiling in peace and security. The vast sands of the desert continue to be the silent witness to this sacred moment. The sun takes on an even brighter color on the horizon, and everything turns into a golden hue. This ancient narrative progresses, leaving a deep sense of awe in the viewer's mind. Surrender extends towards eternity in the heart of a father and a son. The camera slowly zooms out, and the father and son look like small dots. The horizon merges with the sky, and an infinite sense of peace covers the screen. The wind is blowing gently, leaving traces on the sand as it moves away. This story whispers a message beyond time to humanity. Surrender is that golden light hidden in the deepest corner of the heart. Ibrahim and Ismail continue on their way under the guidance of this light. Shadow and light dance over the desert. Everything is in harmony. A divine peace touches the soul of the viewer. A deep silence prevails. The camera focuses on a horizon disappearing into golden light. The timeless message of surrender echoes forever in these lands. As the sun slowly sets, only peace and surrender remain behind. As the screen slowly fades to black, this ancient story continues to live on in hearts. The sand dunes are painted red by the last rays of the day. Ibrahim's footprints are slowly being erased by the wind. Silence prevails in every corner of the valley. The first stars in the sky are shining like lamps. Ismail's silhouette appears on the horizon for a moment and then disappears. Nature falls into a deep sleep after this great trial. The peace in Ibrahim's heart envelops the entire desert. The flow of time slows down with the memory of this sacred moment. Light and shadow unite in an endless cycle. Humanity is sealing this lesson of surrender into its heart. The last ray of light appearing on the horizon is also fading away. As darkness falls, the light of surrender remains.